Sham AlBdour from Gamester Kids, and she is going to talk about how to build good experiences for young players. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, and thank you for having the time to attend this session. What? Oh, yeah, sure.
4 slides.
Let me see how. Okay. So I'm really excited to be here today to speak about how to build good experiences for young players. And when I'm saying young players, I mean really, really young players. I've been in the industry of games for over 7 years now. I started as a 3D artist and then went into game design and creating games on my own. I was really passionate about making kids' experiences more enjoyable and interactive. And now I manage the operations when it comes to MENA at Gamester Kids. We make sure the game is represented in Arabic very well to our MENA audience. I'd love to start by telling you about Tiny Minis. What's this game? And then we can talk about designing a good game, and then how to make this game good and accessible for young players, and then gaining parents' approval, because it's a very essential thing when it comes to kids gaming. Tiny Minis, and there is a missing image there. Tiny Minis is basically a comprehensive platform where there are a lot of parts within the game. You can have different parts that are for toddlers, preschoolers, and young players. We like to divide it into 5 core areas: creativity time, discovery time, family time, sleep time, and crafting time. In creativity time, it's just a space for kids to discover things on their own. They just play, drag and drop, and play with things. In discovery time, they learn. It's math, it's physics, it's simplified concepts that are for young players. In family and crafting time, we provide parents with extra activities that are screen-free, where they can play outside their time on the screen. And the sleep time, I'll tell you about it in more details in a bit. It just has tales, music, and different activities that are for bedtime. So basically, it supports 5 languages: Arabic, English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Turkish. It has over 1,000 interactive games, and there is always new content being added. There is the Mini world, where kids can create their characters, they can play with them, they can interact with them. And there is the relaxing music and fairy tales part. As I told you, we support screen-free activities. So we have printable sheets, activities where kids can play, activities they can make with their families, focusing on breathing activities and yoga activities. So let's see what are the steps that allow us to make a good game. And now we're talking about generally a good game. We're not focusing on kids gaming yet. It's really important and essential to understand your audience. Who are these people you're aiming to present your game to? What do they like? What do they don't like? How do they behave? What's their psychology? And upon that, you can learn how to build your product better. We can start with the age thing. Knowing what age you're targeting helps you tailor the complexity and the difficulty when it comes to the audience you're targeting your game with. Also, you need to keep in mind their interest, their preference, what do they like, what culture are they coming from, and what is their personality, and how it affects the way they play. Of course, you need to keep in mind your competitors. Who are they? What do they do? And what are similar games from the same genre you're aiming to make your game about. And when it comes to feedback and iteration, it's really important to know that you sometimes can kill features you love. You sometimes do sacrifice things that you think are working and are successful and are the best in the world, but actually your players might not like them. That's why it's really essential to keep iterating and keep testing and adding and removing stuff. So voila, you have a good game. What's next? What can we do to make it kids-friendly, or how can we shift our targeting into targeting younger players? How can we make it accessible and fun for kids? When it comes to accessibility, let's jump over the very basic ones that are visual accessibility and, making the settings very useful and very easy to access when it comes to kids. Also, it's really important to keep in mind that the instructions are really clear and they're simplified. And when it comes to inclusive design, you can keep in mind, if you're designing the game for different platforms, to keep in mind that the screens, the different sizes for these screens, it's really important to keep these in mind and to keep a consistent design flow throughout the game. When it comes to engagement and interaction, it's really important to make your game fun. Yes, it's a game, it's not a toy, but still you need to keep in mind that kids do love to play with their hands. They love to touch things and to interact with stuff. So it's really important to have this in mind. Also, it's good to have a reward system, but don't make it. Don't keep celebrating their tiny achievements. Make it sensible and make it on the right time with the right dose. So once kids reach and achieve milestones, show them that you appreciate this within the game, whether it's visuals or sound effects or so on. And make sure that the feedback you're giving is positive. So make sure it is encouraging them, even if they failed, to try again and make different things, and encourage them to have different approaches just to keep going. Also, it's really important that once they enter the game, they feel that they have been there before if they're playing it for the next time. So it's really nice for them to be able to customize it and have some personalization. They create their own stuff, they create their own characters, and they're expressing their creativity through these characters or this personalization approach. This can be for a bit older kids, and it's about keeping a balanced risk-to-reward balance, where kids know if they're gonna risk this, if they're gonna jump higher, if they're gonna go through this obstacle, they're gonna get better stuff. It's really cool also to have a variety, and kids don't feel that the game is boring. They can come and play it again. And even if you don't literally have new content, but you make them feel that this thing has new stuff to discover. This game has new possibilities to see and new opportunities to play with. If you did succeed and kids love your game, it's really important to gain parents' love and parents' approval of your game, especially in kids gaming. Because at the end, if they're loving your game, they're not gonna buy it, they're not gonna purchase it. So you need to reach the target that are older audience. So yeah, don't fall into this trap where the kids love your game, but like they saw it on an advertisement once, but they never got it. They never heard of it. Or kids do really enjoy your game once they play it, but maybe parents are skeptical about whether this game is really good or not. That's why I'd love to share some of the key things we have within our app, Tiny Minis, that made parents trust the game and feel like this is a safe place and they can let their kids play. First is the smart screen time limit. And I think there are some issues with the slides. So basically, we do suggest times upon studies for parents to allow their kids to play the game for. We tell them, if your kid is 3 years old, allow them to play for 10 minutes. If they're older, allow them to play 15 minutes, and so on. Upon some statistics that we researched, the fact that it supports more than one language makes parents also wanna allow their kids to play, because maybe their mother language is Arabic, but then they love for their kids to learn English too. We provide parents with progress reports. We tell them your kid is doing good at this game, and this means their skills on this place is good. And then you can help them, you can teach them. We do give them advice on what can they do, and what are the activities they can play with their kids to help them grow the skills that we saw that they're doing good at within the app. Also the parental gate, where there is a lock, and the availability that they can create 5 profiles within one subscription. Something that really means a lot to me and is really essential is the cultural considerations. Making parents in different regions feel that their kids are included. Something we did last Ramadan, which ended a week ago, is that we introduced new content that is Ramadan themed. We introduced new cute characters and outfits that they can have that are Ramadan, that are like inspired by the MENA region's culture. We introduced new stories that do highlight the values the MENA regions loves and celebrates: generosity, hospitality, and spending time with family. We had new games. Everything was Ramadan themed. And it's really interesting because at the same time, other people in other regions were celebrating Easter, and we had that in the game too. So letting your audience know that you do care about the culture that they're coming from, their background, and celebrating that will give you more trust to the parents. Something we do is that we do collaborate with content creators or even mothers that their kids do play the game, they love it. So they help us in creating advertisements because it's authentic. It's really kids playing the game. It's kids telling their stories about their favorite parts of the game. And we try to make it just close to the parents, simple, and things that they can relate to. In addition to that, the advisors we work with, whether they're speech therapists, teachers, professors, we take their opinion into consideration. We take their feedback and we try to iterate on that and to take it as an opportunity to grow from the feedback and comments they give. And yes, they are from different regions. Also, these advisors helped us in creating content. So a speech therapist made a review about the game. She told her opinion on how she thinks this game is helping kids into pronouncing words in a better way. The printables I told you about, we have printed them in New Year, and we had some activities with our collaborations with schools. So maintaining a good connection with the parents, teachers, or the people you're aiming to use your game is really important. But please make sure that your game is really enjoyable for kids, and it's just, because I've seen some games where the game looks really good. If I'm a parent and I saw the content, I'll be like, wow, this has a lot of educational things that a kid can learn from. But then when it comes to real life, if you play the game, it's very laggy. The mechanics are really overwhelming. They can't be targeting preschoolers and kids. So make sure the game is fun and engaging for kids, and then you can gain parents' approval and trust. Passing really quickly to wrap up on tips and tricks. So make sure the game is accessible for different children with different backgrounds, languages, needs, preferences, characters, and keep the controls simple. Don't overwhelm them with many, like dragging and dropping and doing multiple things within one session of playing, and make these sessions short when it comes to kids gaming. Show them that you know they're doing good, but don't overdo it, as we said. Ensure the game is safe. Ensure that if you thought of yourself allowing your kid to play the game, you would approve. Put yourself in the parents' shoes and know that you would approve of such a safe environment. And pay attention to feedback, whether parents do tell you things or you see kids maybe finding a difficulty to play a game. Use colorful graphics and fun things, and create a memorable story within each character. So these are not just cartoony animals for us. These are Ollie, Mimi, Laura, Fufu. Like, these are characters. Each one of them has their own personality and story. So once we create content, once we create new books, once we create new tales, we keep in mind each one of them, when it comes to its character, its personality, what character would do what character would say what. So kids can relate to and can remember. Give them space. Let them imagine. Let them be creative. Let them interact with the environment. Give them some space to just, because the rigid school curriculum is not doing good. So once you're using a game to educate kids, or like you want to give a good content for kids, give them space. And most importantly, is to test and keep iterating, killing the features that are not working and building new ones. Be more flexible when it comes to playtesting and taking these results to adapt into creating new content. And keep the game fresh and exciting. New content, or making people feel like that there is something new when they're playing. That is it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. And I'd love to hear if you have any questions, or maybe I'll be around. Any question? Yes.
Hi. So you're making games for children. Doesn't that come as a conflict that children are using a lot of screen time and they may get addicted to it? So I'm asking this question as a parent. I have a very young daughter.
Yes.
So just want to understand, how do you manage that, and are there any checks and balances that you have in games so that children don't become addicted to the games and screen?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the main fears parents do approach us when they see the game. They're like, okay, it seems fine, but I do want to get rid of the time my kid is spending on technology, or I don't want them even to use technology. And the answer is, they are going to use it, and they actually need to start being not as immersed as they are today, maybe, but they need to get to know how to use technology. And what we're saying is an alternative. Instead of letting your kid playing a dumb game, maybe something that takes their energy and keeps them stressed, especially at a young age, maybe give them 5 minutes of an entertainment game where they can learn, or they can practice what they learned in school. They can practice coloring, they can practice what letter is this. So it's a bit of supporting the educational system with something that's more interactive. Also, I do understand this fear, but then think of it as a way that we're enhancing the parents' approach. For example, you want to read a story for your kid, but you're too tired to do so. So you give them the app. You and them can listen to the audible book or read this story and so on. So it's a bit of an enhancement to the journey of parenting with, as I told you, like we do care about having a screen time limit, we just want to take the time that they're spending maybe on videos that we are not sure if it's safe or not, into making that time on an edutainment content, on a safe content that's approved and revised by parents and specialists. So yep, I hope it answered your question.
Yep, thank you.
No worries. Any other question? Thank you so much for your time, and it was lovely. Thank you.